So we've just created a very basic rhythm. Nothing really happening, nothing interesting. We're gonna set the vibe now by adding a bass line, which will be a lot more fun to listen to, and it'll be a lot easier to get on with the track. All right. Oh, this is the bass we already created. To quickly check it out. We're gonna do something different though. What I like to do with my bass lines, I like to have those rolling bass lines a little bit, and then play around almost like a melody with some of the notes. So I'm basically starting. My bass is going to be 16s. Oh, not that. This, and it will sound like this. This is silent, which I use a lot, and let's see. Oh, for those who don't recognize this, it's just a skin. This is the default. Let's keep it like that, so you know where everything is. Sorry, bank. Just went to factory bank 4 and then preset number 27, which is a very basic sounding. Bass. 16s. I'll jump into the project and I'll just place it like a block underneath all we have created before. Let's actually mute the percussion for a bit. This is actually something we could work with. Rolling bass line. And we have it set up like 13 goes to green line to number 4, which is bass. We have some extra control there. And what do we have here? We have already set up a parametric EQ. And we have a little bit of low cut, around 40 hertz. So this technical stuff, I always listen, and I don't listen to what people always say, yeah, you need to cut it like this or that. I just listen to what sounds right to me. I'm self-taught, so I don't know all those technical terms, the jargon. I just do whatever feels right, whatever sounds right, and along the way I can change it up. So yeah, just listen really closely to what you're doing, and you'll find that it's a lot easier to get into that project instead of having guidelines of yeah, you need to cut the bass like this, and your hi-hats need to be like that, and this frequency and that. It just removes a little bit of that creativity that goes into your mind, because sometimes you're doing something that is not by the book or completely wrong, but it sounds cool because no one else does it, and you're just doing it because you accidentally did it, and it sounds cool, and you just found your way of doing something crazy, and then you can incorporate it in your track, and then it makes you unique. Obviously, there's always going to be some things that you do want to do to make your project sound clean, and what I did here is just remove some of the super low frequencies. And then I also added a volume shaper, which is basically like a tool to control the volume. And this one has actually a multiband thing included, so I think this is actually a nice thing to explain. I have a low band here and a mid band, and as you can see, the mid band has already, let's set it up like this. This is basically a ducking or a sidechaining effect. So if I set it up like this, you can see the lines are all the way up the top. There's going to be no ducking. Let's set the mixer up to 100 so you can hear it correctly. There's going to be no ducking at all. Just if I, let's just use one band, click this preset, and we're playing it again. It just cuts the volume on the first note, so you have that driving effect. And when I lose it, it sounds about right. It still sounds right, but you'll find yourself doubling all those frequencies, and it will clog up your project. So sidechaining is a really good way to make that not happen. But sometimes, the way I'm doing it right now, I'm just sidechaining the whole bass. So if you follow this line, you cut the volume here and then it comes up again. But you're cutting every possible frequency, you're just lowered. And sometimes I don't want that. I do want it on the bass. And the volume shaper has it so that I can just cut the bass. And any frequencies, like mid frequencies, if I want to have them intact and not ducking, I just set it up like this. So you can see the green line, which is all the frequencies up to, let's say, about 200 Hertz. And everything else, I won't have ducking on it. And if I move it around, you will hear it shift. So no ducking. Only the bass is ducking right now. Now almost the full bass is ducking. So I want to find the right ducking for this groove. And this little bass has quite a lot of, let's add a parametric EQ to it. As you can see here, there's a lot of lows and there is not a lot of highs. It's just a very subby bass. Hang on, let's go back to the volume shaper. So for this bass, maybe for a mid bass or a higher sound, like a synth or a melody, I want to have a completely different setup. But for this bass, I'm going to be fine with the full range. Just going to add it like a preset ducking effect on it. And I'll turn the mix down a little bit because I want to have it glued together nicely. It needs to be smooth. It doesn't need to be like you're moving like this. It just needs to be like smoothed out. And you can play along this while you're building the track, obviously. Okay, what I'm going to do now is show you how fast we can get into a nicer groove than just It works, but it's a little bit boring. Just lowering the volume of the clap a little bit. Let's go to the bass, and so the 16s I'm gonna keep, but I'm just gonna move some notes around to make it more melodic. Very easy, but it just gives it a little bit of a different vibe. And if I want to change that, I'm just gonna... Actually, I want to have more control over these two notes. And I'm going to open these up in a copy of this bass. Just copy, clone it, and move those notes into... So you can see the gray lines are... This is the same pattern. If I mute the second silent, you just hear this. With the gaps, I'm going to fill the gaps in with these two. And I'm controlling the second, those two notes. So if I do this, I just have a little bit more control. I want to keep those basically low notes the same to keep the groove going, but I do want to have the control over those two little ones. And I actually already have set up a... This is the bass. They're both connected to bass. I want to set up the second one with the two separate notes to bass 2. And I've already added a... Let's actually get a... Oh, this will work. Just added a little bit of echo. We can do that in silent as well, but I actually want to do it in the frequency echo. Let's see how it sounds now. Perhaps add a little bit of reverb. All right, let's see what we got now. And to make it a little bit come alive, I will automate the cutoff and maybe play around with the resonance as well. Create automation clip. Let's actually move it around a little bit so. And I am actually going to grab these two notes and move it to pattern number 10. So it will be more clear what we're doing. So these are the bass notes again. Nothing happening over there, and I'm just adding those two separate notes. And like I said, I want to move around or play with the cutoff on those notes to make it come alive a little bit more. You can hear it coming up already. I find the echo a little bit too much in my face. Maybe. All right. Just make it start over again, right there. Ooh, that was very low. Match it. Oop. And then make it go up again there. So you just, it becomes less static. That was way too much.